Very few of them are left. Several of the living veterans of the momentous event returned to Normandy last year for the 80th anniversary of their heroic undertaking. They were part of the largest amphibious invasion in world history. Officially, it was part of Operation Overlord, but the fight of June 6th is better known as D-Day. Despite the fact that almost 160,000 servicemen from the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada were directly involved, their success was not guaranteed. Nazi Germany, which had occupied France, had fortified the Normandy region in the nation's northwest. And that was the target of the Allies fighting to rid France and the rest of Europe from the grip of the Axis powers. The invasion had been planned for months. The initial goal was to overrun 5 beaches, codenamed Gold, Juno, Omaha, Sword, and Utah. Casualties were expected to be high, and more than 4,400 Allied troops are believed to have lost their lives on D-Day, though the exact number isn't known. What was gained through their sacrifices and those of the scores who were wounded was control of all 5 beaches by the night of June 6th. From there, the Allies could move in reinforcements, supplies, and equipment. From there, the Allies could chart a course to drive back the enemy on the European continent. D-Day was a success, and historians characterize it as the beginning of the end for the Nazis' control of Europe in the Second World War. A timely start to this June 6th edition of The World from A to Z. This is also the last show of our spring season. After today, we'll scale back production for the summer and resume daily programs in August. I'm Carl Azouz, excited to see you. Our nonpartisan coverage continues with our news segment, Around the World in 80 Seconds. New rules have been announced concerning travel to the United States. Yesterday, the Trump administration said people from 19 countries in Asia, Africa, the Middle East, the Caribbean, and South America would face full or partial restrictions from entering the U.S. unless they're lawful permanent residents of America already or currently have permission to travel there. The government says the restrictions are important to national security and that they target countries that don't properly review their travelers' backgrounds, don't share information about them with the U.S., or whose people are more likely to stay in America longer than they're allowed. But some critics and human rights groups say those looking to enter the U.S. legally, or those fleeing persecution or war, could be unfairly shut out or potentially forced to stay in dangerous environments. Next, the Asian country of Japan has recorded the lowest birth rate it's ever had. Not since 1899, when record-keeping began, did the country see fewer than 700,000 births in a year. But that happened in 2024 when Japanese had just over 686,000 babies. Experts say the nation's birth rate is too low to keep its population stable. This presents a threat to its economy and government programs that support Japan's people. The government's been trying for years to encourage couples to have more children, partly by offering them economic benefits, but so far it hasn't had much success.
Word it out. A pot of heated glue was responsible for starting which of these historic disasters? Great Seattle Fire, Great Chicago Fire, San Francisco Fire, Great New Orleans Fire. It was on this date that spilled glue in a woodworking shop caused a blaze that consumed the city's business district and became known as the Great Seattle Fire.
On this date in world history. A couple other historic events that took place on June 6th include the Great Seattle Fire of 1889. It started in a pot of glue at a downtown woodworking shop and spread very quickly, destroying hundreds of businesses in the city. But the rebuilding process made for safer construction and Seattle's population grew. The YMCA was founded on this date, but long before the Village People. We're talking 1844 in London, when a department store worker named George Williams and 11 others established the Young Men's Christian Association, One goal was to provide a safe place to help keep young city workers off the streets. And a French-Canadian man named Alexis St. Martin was accidentally shot on this date in 1822. He survived, but his wound never completely healed. It left a visible hole into his stomach, and that allowed an American Army doctor to do some research that was ethically controversial, but helped give a greater understanding of the human digestive system.
Peter Frank doesn't do much but paddle away the days because he's on a 6,000-mile canoe journey.
I started in Escanaba, Michigan. I paddled all the way through North America, parts of Canada, through New York, through New Jersey.
The Great Loop, as this route is called, is a continuous waterway that includes part of the Atlantic, the Gulf Intercoastal Waterways, the Great Lakes, Canadian Heritage Canals, and inland U.S. rivers. And he's not making things easy on himself, choosing the more difficult direction of the route.
I'm doing this clockwise, backwards, meaning that over 25%, 1,600 miles of the entire 6,000-mile loop will be paddled against the current on inland rivers.
For Frank, the voyage is a way to express his gratitude for still being alive and having the ability to take on the physical challenge. Almost a decade ago, a car accident left him nearly paralyzed. His vessel of choice, a 1982 Sawyer Loon, and his clothes are all hand-sewn by the adventurer himself. Frank enjoys writing about his experiences on his blog and meeting people along the way.
It does get lonely sometimes, but I do have a love for what I do. I have a love for the outdoors and a love for canoeing, and I believe that propels me forward. With the sacrifice of a lot of things, there's a greater benefit on the other side.
Peter Frank was heading toward Tallahassee as we produced this show, having paddled down the U.S. Atlantic coast and up Florida's Gulf Coast, journeying more than 3,000 miles in around 330 days. It's his 7th expedition in 4 years, but by far his longest and most challenging. Thanks to all of you for the hundreds of thousands of shout-out requests we got this school year. Last 5 schools we're mentioning this spring include Rock Heights Middle in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. The Ravens are in Mr. Morris's class. Hello to Mr. Schneider's class at Council Rock High School South. The Hawks are here from Holland Rock, Pennsylvania. Mr. Waddell's class is watching from Geisler Middle School. It's the home of the Wolves in Walled Lake, Michigan. We've got the Stampeders with us from Stevens Middle School. Miss DeMott's class is in Port Angeles, Washington. And from El Rancho High School, welcome to Mr. Munoz's class and the Dons watching from Poco Rivera, California.
Commuters in Washington State's Whatcom County were no doubt buzzing about a truck crash that left millions of honeybees scattered to the wind. It happened when a semi-truck carrying some 70,000 pounds of live honeybee hives overturned, rolling into a ditch and spilling its cargo. The area was immediately abuzz with swarming honeybees, some 250 million, according to county officials. The road was closed and local beekeepers were called in to help with the bizarre situation, working to recover, restore, and reset the hives. Officials said there was no real health threat, although they did warn the public to steer clear due to the risk of stings, hoping locals would get the point as not to, get the point. Ouch.
As we near this season's finish line, a hurdler from Thurston High School in Oregon was recently feet from victory and the state title when she clipped the last hurdle and tripped. But Brooklyn Anderson had a good lead and a background in gymnastics. Training, she says, kicked in when she needed it and helped her somersault to the first place finish. Anderson says she knew to just keep rolling. She stayed in her lane and crossed the line with a time of 14.93 seconds. With the speed of the hare, the persistence of the tortoise, the skill of the gymnast that helped her stay on track for this, clearing hurdles on and off her feet while staying in her lane, even if a level head position wasn't quite maintained, spinning circles in competition without diminished time, she kept her tunnel vision rolling across the finish line. Fridays are awesome. I'm Carl Azus, and that's this season's last edition of The World from A to Z. I want to thank our support team, especially our new producer, John, for exemplary work and assistance, our video maestro, Gwen, for her help and voice on every show, and I want to thank you for watching, for your feedback, support, your encouragement, for helping us spread the word about the program. You are the best audience in news, the best part of what we do, and you mean the world to me. Looking forward to seeing you in August.